This is the last time this wife and mother of two will be seen alive. She's at the bank to make a withdrawal, $15,000, but it's what she slips to the bank manager that clues police into one of the most heinous crimes in Connecticut history. So what happened to this innocent family of four? I'm Amy. Let's recap. It's opening time at Bank of America, July 23rd, 2007. The small branch in Cheshire, Connecticut has just unlocked its doors when a shaken woman walks inside. 48-year-old Jennifer Hawke Petit is doing everything she can to hold it together. Another customer watches her step up to the window. Jennifer gets her money, $15,000. But just as she leaves, the branch manager calls 911.
My name is Mary Lyons. I'm the banking center manager. We have a lady who is in our bank right now who says that her husband and children are being held at their house. The people are in a car outside the bank. She's getting $15,000 to bring out to them that if the police are told, they will kill the children and the husband. Her name is Jennifer Petit, P-E-T-I-T.
Okay, she still is in the bank?
Yes, she is.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the police can't save them. The Petit family lives in Cheshire, Connecticut, a small town in New Haven County. It's the kind of place where nothing bad happens, where you can forget to lock the basement door every once in a while. 26-year-old Joshua Komisarjevsky and 44-year-old Stephen Hayes changed all that. July 22nd, 2007 is just a typical Sunday in the Petit household. They go to church, then Jennifer takes the girls to the beach while her husband, Dr. William Petit, goes golfing. Later that night, Jennifer and Michaela, her youngest, go to Stop and Shop to buy ingredients for dinner. Michaela loves cooking. If you walked into the Petit house, you'd probably find her watching the Food Network. That night, they're thinking pasta with homemade marinara sauce. They don't know this is going to be their last trip to the grocery store together. Josh is prowling around inside. He spots them in an aisle, just, with their grocery cart, looking at the shelves, looking at the sauces, whatever, the ingredients, and he starts salivating over 11-year-old Michaela. He follows them home that night. He sees their house, very nice. The car, very nice. He starts to think, you know what, it would be so nice to have that life, to live there someday, to live like that. And that is how easy it is for him to tell Stephen he found the perfect targets. But murder isn't necessarily on their minds. At first, the plan is to rob the Petits after everyone's asleep. Josh just has to put his own 5-year-old daughter to bed first. Before the break-in, Stephen texts him, "I'm chomping at the bit to get started. Need a margarita soon. We still on?" "Yes," Josh texts back. "I'm putting the kid to bed. Hold your horses." To that, Stephen says, "Dude, the horses want to get loose." In the early morning hours of July 23rd, around 3 a.m., Stephen and Josh get into the Petit home through an unlocked basement door. They find William in the sunroom. He fell asleep reading the newspaper. Josh clobbers him with his own Louisville Slugger bat until he passes out. Then they drag him into the basement and they tie his hands and feet. Upstairs, the Petit's oldest girl, 17-year-old Haley, is asleep in her room. She has just been accepted early at Dartmouth. She wants to follow in her parents' footsteps and go to medical school. As a high school student, she just graduated. She was on the honor roll, the varsity cross country, basketball, crew teams. And when she wasn't doing any of that, she was raising money for MS research through walkathons. Her team, Haley's Hope, raised $55,000. Her mom was diagnosed with it about 8 years earlier, so it's a cause that's close to her heart. But Jennifer, mom, never complains. She still works as a nurse at a private school. But that night, her only job is reading Harry Potter to Michaela. So by the time Josh and Stephen find them, mom and daughter are asleep with the book on their bed. Now, Josh and Stephen put pillowcases over each of their heads and they tie them to their beds. The plan at this point is to rob the place. Nobody's supposed to get hurt. Yeah, right. So how about a little backstory on these two bad guys? The Komisarjevsky family adopted Josh as a baby. They're from a wealthy line of Russian performers and dancers, so he grew up sort of affluent. His father owned a construction company. His mother homeschooled the kids. Both of them were extremely religious. They blamed Josh's descent into crime on a satanic cult. Now, Josh wasn't their only adopted child. They took in many foster kids, one of whom allegedly violated him when he was 14. Sexual abuse was a constant thread growing up. Now, in the early 90s, his sister accused him of assaulting her, which led to an early teenage conviction. That's when he turned to crime. He did his first robberies between 14 and 15 years old. By 22, get this, he had already been arrested for 18 home invasions. But instead of breaking in during the day when most people are out and you're least likely to get caught, Josh liked sneaking in at night. He brought night vision goggles. He'd creep into the homeowners' rooms and watch them sleep. In 2002, he pled guilty to 12 home invasions. The judge called him a calculated, cold-blooded predator and sentenced him to 9 years in prison, followed by 6 years of supervised parole. By 2007, Josh should have been, in year 5 of lockup, nowhere near the Petit family, except for the fact that the Connecticut Parole Board grossly mishandled his case. Now, according to Connecticut law, the parole board is supposed to review the transcript from the sentencing hearing, to really find out what terrible things this person did. Had they read Josh's, they would have learned all the grisly details about his case, the whole, watching the homeowners sleep, terrifying kind of thing. But the parole board didn't read the transcript. They granted his release in April of 2007, and Josh moved into a halfway house, which is where he met his future partner in crime. Stephen Hayes was nearly twice Josh's age. He spent a lot of the 80s and 90s bouncing between Connecticut prisons on charges ranging from petty theft to weapons possession. While he was locked up, he was cited 23 times for misconduct. While out on parole in 1996, he went on an 11-day bender, breaking into cars whenever he could. Now, despite squandering every second, third, fourth, fifth chance he got, Stephen was granted parole in 2006. He moved into the halfway house where he eventually met Josh. Now, these two became fast friends, probably bonding over their shared lives of crime. Josh, however, had to wear an ankle bracelet for 90 days after his release. It came off on July 19th, 2007. Within 72 hours, he's already breaking into homes again. 4 days later, the Petit women would be dead. But this time, when Stephen and Josh didn't find anything worth stealing at the Petit house, they go off script. They grab Jennifer and tell her they're going to take a drive. Before stopping at the bank, CCTV cameras outside a nearby gas station capture Stephen buying $10 worth of gas. He pours it into 2 cans he took from the Petits. They pull up to the local Bank of America just as the doors open. She's supposed to go inside and get 15 grand. If she screams, if she runs, if she tips anybody off, her family is dead. But what she doesn't know is that Josh and Stephen are already planning to burn her house down. While they're at the bank, Josh is supposed to get Bill and the girls outside so they can burn it down to destroy evidence as soon as they're back with the money. But even though she doesn't know the specifics, Jennifer's a smart woman. She knows there's a risk either way. There's no guarantee that they're not going to kill everyone regardless. So she plays it smart. She slips the manager a note and leaves. The bank calls the police around 9:30 a.m. By 9:45, the cops, including SWAT, are forming a perimeter around the Petit house. They're trying to keep a low profile so they don't spook the bad guys. That's hostage protocol. They don't know that inside the house, the situation is going from worse to nightmare. So instead of getting the family out of the house like he was supposed to, Josh used the time they were at the bank to have his way with 11-year-old Michaela. He tells Stephen to go ahead and assault Jennifer too, so they're, square. He happily obliges, telling her, "Don't worry, it's all going to be over in a couple of minutes." Meanwhile, William is tied up in the basement, forced to listen to this attack on his wife in the family room right over his head. In that moment, he decides to escape. He manages to undo his hands, but he can't get the zip ties off his feet. Somehow, he hops up the storm door steps, the same door Josh and Stephen used to get inside, and he stumbles to a neighbor's begging for help. Now, one of the officers setting up around the house sees him and runs over and gets him to safety. It's a miracle he survived. He lost 7 pints of blood, but it's already too late to save his family. While the police are outside roping off the area rescuing William, Stephen is inside strangling Jennifer to death. He leaves her body in the family room and then goes to help Josh douse Michaela and Haley in gasoline. They leave the girls tied to their beds upstairs on the second floor. But Haley, amazing, manages to get loose and tries to run for it, but she only gets as far as the top of the stairs. Josh lit the match that set the house on fire. Thanks to the gasoline, the place went up fast. The girls die of smoke inhalation, although the ME can't determine if their 3rd and 4th degree burns are pre or post-mortem. By the time firefighters make it inside, the smoke is so thick they can't see. The upstairs is worse, and the stairs are already an inferno. Meanwhile, our killers barely make it out of the driveway in the Petit family car before they smash into 3 cop cars. They're arrested on the spot. Stephen is still wearing Haley's school crew cap. There's not a lot to say when you're caught red-handed on the scene of your brutal crime. Both Stephen and Josh confess, but they call each other the masterminds behind it. Their lawyers are going to have to fight that distinction out in court. Team Stephen uses entries from Josh's journal to paint him as the puppet master. And here's where things take another sickening turn. Josh, who's writing these diary entries in jail, I guess, calls William Petit a coward who ran away to save his own life. Time and time again, he writes, "I gave him the chance to save his family." It's just vile. He also tells his diary about sexually assaulting Michaela, although he doesn't appreciate people using the word rape. In his words, "I spared her that degree of demoralization, but that in a vulgar display of power, he ejaculated on her," which is so creepy and just simply untrue. Team Josh claims Stephen is the mastermind who escalated things to rape and murder. He's a career criminal who knows exactly what he's doing. Meanwhile, here's Josh, this weak-minded baby and easily manipulated. In the end, the jury found both of them guilty of capital murder, along with a slew of other crimes. They were sentenced to death. However, these guys got luckier than their victims did when Connecticut outlawed the death penalty in 2015, so their sentences suddenly just became life in prison. In the wake of his family's murder, William went on to start the Petit Family Foundation in their memory. Then he went into politics in 2016 and was elected to Connecticut's House of Representatives. He also remarried and he has a young son as of 2024. His home, the scene of the crime, is now a remembrance garden. As of 2024, Josh is still behind bars. He's tried and failed over and over to appeal his conviction. Stephen is also still in prison. Sort of. In 2019, they started going by the name Linda. Meanwhile, William is dealing with a different kind of life sentence, one that doesn't require a judge or jury. When his son was born, the memories came roaring back. He couldn't help but imagine the same horrible fate befalling his new family. All because one jealous criminal happened to see his beautiful wife and daughter shopping for a family dinner one night. I don't know about you, but my God, this is like the culmination of every one of my nightmares. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about this case. And if you like getting all the crime in half the time, it would mean so much to us if you gave this a like and remember to subscribe so we don't have to make this a one-off thing. Let's do this every week. We're here 3 times a week with new recaps. We'll see you soon.